why did I sell my van and get a Toyota Sequoia? Well, I'm going to tell you guys in just a minute. Alright you guys, well this must be the million-dollar question. Why did we sell the van and then turn around and buy a Sequoia? Well, first of all, I've been thinking about doing a Toyota four-wheel drive camper project for a very long time, even when I was still living in my van, mostly because I couldn't get to some of the spots that I wanted to be in when I was on my days off, just because the van was just too big and wasn't a four-wheel drive, and even though the van could fit into some tight spots, it couldn't do what a 4x4 could do. At the time when I moved into my van, I had the Toyota 4Runner that everybody wants, the 1997 with the rear differential lock, and it was a limited edition, 4x4, blah, 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 all of that good stuff. I had it, and it was a beautiful car. I drove it for a very long time, and it broke my heart to have to give it up just because I was so attached to it. I didn't even know, you know, it was like this overlander's dream. I just knew that I loved my car. But I did not want to have it sitting around in a storage facility, not being used enough to the point where it would probably just sit there and rot. I would rather sell or give something away than let it sit around. And that was another reason why the van had to go, was because every time I would walk out in the driveway, it would be sitting there and I was barely even using it. We hardly ever drove it. We didn't use it to camp in because Ron just was too big for it. He couldn't fit in it. Even with the high top on it, he couldn't stand up in there. And we would have had to totally remodel it and do all kinds of stuff to it, which we probably could have, you know, so that he could sleep in it. But it just did make sense to have two big old honking camper vans, because his van we used all the time for road trips and things like that. I mean, if you guys watch some of our older videos, you know, we've taken the van all over the country. We drove Ron's van 9,000 miles last summer, and the spring before that, we drove it another 5,000 miles. So we've taken that thing all over the place, and partly because he could fit all of his tools in there, plus all of our camping gear and our bed and the dog and our food, and still have some room left over. And the thing didn't even care. It still got, you know, pretty good gas mileage for something that could carry all that. So why would we take my little van that could barely carry, you know, anything really? And plus, I don't know, his van was already kind of like, you know, a work truck and a little bit dirty. So having a dog in there wasn't a big deal. Whereas like I'd never had a pet in my van. Nobody's ever put a pet in my van. And resale value for something like that is huge. If you have never smoked and have never had any pets in your rig, that makes your rig worth more, just FYI, you guys. So I wanted to kind of keep my van that way because I was kind of thinking about selling it a long, long time ago, just because I wanted to do the four-wheel drive project. And then couple that with the fact that we have big snowstorms up here and we live in the woods, and I'm going to show you guys some clips of the road that we live on, and trust me, the camera doesn't do it justice because it is way steeper than what it looks like on camera. I'm taking you guys for a walk with me down in my mailbox. My mailbox is probably almost a mile down the road because the post office refuses to deliver this far up. It's just way too far off the main road, and it's pretty treacherous. I'm surprised UPS trucks even come up here, quite frankly. So it's not really a good idea to have too many vehicles that are not four-wheel drive living on a road like this. Our neighbors, they just moved here from the Bay Area, and they are like going, oh my gosh, we can't get out of here half the time. We need a four-wheel drive. So there's so many reasons for getting the Sequoia. Plus, once Ron's done with all of the servicing and things on it, it will be pretty much my everyday driver, even though it's not going to get as good a gas mileage as we would like. I was willing to sacrifice that even with my 4Runner, because they don't get good gas mileage either, just to be able to have something that I know that I can get in and out of situations with. And for those of you who own a Toyota 4-wheel drive, you know that they handle so well that you barely ever have to engage the 4-wheel drive unless you're purposely going someplace that's just totally treacherous. So to have something like that in a place where we live is just invaluable to me. It's invaluable to everybody that lives up here. Yeah, most of the people I know have four-wheel drives here. So it's just crazy not to. Plus, something like a Sequoia is more comfortable for a big person like Ron. I mean, like I said before, I had a choice between it and another 4Runner. I chose the Sequoia because it would fit Ron better than the smaller 4Runner would. Plus, I don't know if he could stretch out in the back of a 4Runner because it was pretty tight for me when I would camp in the thing. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that would have worked. So now at least I know the Sequoia is big enough for him. You know, it's long enough for him. It's like 8 feet long, you know, in the back, just almost as big as my van. So my van was like 10 feet from the front seat to the back door. So there's only like 2 feet difference. So yeah, he would be pretty comfortable in our a camper, you know, bed back there. So that was another reason. And also it's just smart to have another bug out vehicle. You know, if something happened, if like, you know, this place did unfortunately, like hopefully never happen, but catch on fire to the point where we have to evacuate, you know, Ron could just hop in his van and I can hop in the Sequoia, and between the two we would have enough to survive for however long before we had to come back to our place, you know, and that kind of thing. So that's just something that you have to think about when you live in a place like where we live. You know, you could get trapped in the snow. You know, there's fires, there's just all these things. So you don't want just a normal 2-wheel drive vehicle.
This is our road, you guys. This is why we got the Sequoia and all the other 4-wheel drives we have. The camera doesn't do it justice. This thing is really, really steep. I'm walking down to the mailbox right now, which is almost a mile away from our house. And yeah, this is our road to get up to there, to our house way up there. Yeah, so even if I didn't want to build a camper out of the Sequoia, I think it was a good choice and a safe choice for me to have an everyday driver. Yeah, just to give you guys an idea. And in the wintertime, when it snows, this road is pretty treacherous. In fact, a lot of times we don't even go anywhere, even if we do have a 4-wheel drive, because you can't. You get stuck. Here's the other part of our road, another steep part it's just before our house, and again, the camera doesn't do it justice, but it's pretty steep and slippery, especially when it snows. the neighbor's pond. It's really pretty. I think that's clay in the water. Maybe algae. Cool hollow tree. And as you can see right now, it's not snowy or anything at all. It did rain and snow a few days ago, and luckily for us, the road didn't close off this time. But it is California, you know, so stuff can be a little bit mild at times. But yeah, it's just it's still winter. You have to keep that in mind, and watch your P's and Q's and make sure you don't do something to where you can get stuck or get hurt or anything like that. This area is pretty swampy right here. It looks like there's like cattails and stuff growing down there. Not my property, so unfortunately I can't really go explore it, and it's not public land either, but it's very intriguing. It's pretty interesting. Some really pretty plants growing down in here. Yeah, it's pretty cool when you live in a forest, even if you can't explore it all. Just driving past parts of it are really nice. Look at that. The mugwort is coming up already. Hey, you guys, I hope you don't mind the snow because we might get more. I love mugwort. It's just like sage. I've even made it into tea a long time ago. It's a pretty interesting plant. You can make it into smudge bundles and use it like a smudge stick. And a lot of times I just like to take leaves of it and put it inside of my clothing drawers or things like that to keep pests out. I guess apparently even out here we've had a problem with that. Ugh. Yeah, I wonder what that is. It's probably a mine shaft or something. It's a great big hole. Looks pretty dangerous. I certainly won't be going in there, but it's pretty interesting. Yeah, great big rock too.
Okay, you guys, so hopefully that wasn't too boring for you. Hopefully it was a little bit interesting. And thanks for coming along for my little walk. And hopefully we can do it again sometime. All right, well, take it easy. Do all the good YouTube stuff, like and subscribe and everything, and we'll talk to you on the next one. All right, bye.